President Obama heads to Capitol Hill tomorrow for his third State of the Union address. Just moments ago, I spoke with Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, and I asked Senator McConnell on the eve of the State of the Union. News reports suggest it's going to be a doozy and divisive speech. Take a listen to what the senator said. Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican leader, sir, welcome back to the Kudlow Report.
Glad to be with you, Larry.
Let me just ask you, if everyone's going to be focused on the State of the Union speech, according to some press reports, it's going to be a divisive, left, populist, campaign-type speech, tax hikes for the rich to pay for more government spending. Is that the case, or do you think Republicans will be able to play ball with President Obama?
Larry, I think his strategy is to hope that we all have amnesia and think that he was just sworn in a couple of days ago. He wants us to forget that he controlled the Congress for the first 2 years. He got everything he wanted: the stimulus, Obamacare, Dodd-Frank, a 35% increase in the national debt. And now he's complaining because Congress won't keep doing that kind of stuff. You know, in November of 10, the American people issued a national restraining order. They said they'd had enough of all of that. And of course, we know, with all of the Obama economy established now, his policies are in place. We have the Obama economy, and unemployment is still 8.5%. This didn't work, Larry, and we're not interested in doing more of the things that don't work.
In terms of some of the immediate issues that people are talking about, first, of course, extending the temporary payroll tax cut, extending unemployment benefits, can that get done?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we agree that the payroll tax holiday ought to continue to the end of the year. Unfortunately, we could only get Senate Democrats, who are in the majority, to agree to pay for only 2 months of it. So we'll be back at trying to figure out how to do that for the balance of the year and to pay for it. We don't want to add to the deficit.
What about some longer range? I mean, longer being 1 year. You've got the unfinished business of the super committee, $1 trillion reduction in defense spending, which many people believe is way, way too much. And you also have the expiration of all the Bush tax cuts, not just the high end, but the whole $4 trillion tax cut. Now, that stuff is due in early 2013. Will it be tackled in 2012?
I doubt it. We tried to tackle it in 2011, and the president was AWOL. I mean, we couldn't get him to engage. You know, Larry, frequently divided government's been a time of great accomplishment. I think of Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton working with Congress of the opposite party in each case, doing really important things like changing Social Security, reforming the tax code, passing welfare reform, balancing the budget. This president, unfortunately, decided last summer he was going to go out and have bus tours and start the campaign, and we couldn't find him. He was not involved whatsoever, and so we squandered 2011 on the big issues of debt and deficit. So I'm not optimistic, frankly, that in an election year he's likely to be any more engaged than he was last year. He's mainly engaged in the blame game. It's everybody's fault but his that we are where we are. And as I said, he's counting on everybody to forget that for the first 2 years of what I hope is his only term, he got everything he wanted.
Well, look at the President's Jobs Council just reported, and they're talking about tax reform and regulatory reform to be more competitive. Everyone's still talking about Simpson-Bowles as almost a bipartisan program which adds spending cuts to tax and regulatory reform. The president has walked away from this stuff. Will Republicans stay with this? Can you get to any bipartisan action out of the Senate and the House on those kinds of issues?
Not without the president's involvement. I mean, he's the only one that can sign bills. He's the most prominent Democrat in the country. Without his involvement, none of these things will actually occur.
Well, what about the polls? You know, Washington Post, ABC poll, 84% disapprove of the Congress. How does your strategy, how does the Republican strategy, what does this mean? 84% looks like a real, wet blanket over Congress. Is there a way out of that? What are those people saying? What do they want?
Well, I would make two observations. Number one, I haven't met any people who approve of Congress. I certainly don't approve of what we've been able to accomplish. You've got a Democratic Senate and a Republican House. Who controls Congress? Both parties. Secondly, Congress as an institution is not going to be on the ballot, but the president is. I think the fact that Congress is not popular explains why he would like to blame all of his problems on Congress. But that, of course, depends on everybody forgetting the fact that the previous Congress did everything he wanted. everything he wanted. And all of that is law now. And we're going to ask the question, how's it working out for you?
And how do you answer that question in terms of your own program and strategy?
Well, we tried last year to reform entitlements, to get tax reform started. All of that through the joint committee that you referred to. Unfortunately, the president was AWOL. And you can't achieve things legislatively without an engaged president of the United States, no matter which party the president belongs to.
So another topic that's bound to come up someplace is our increasingly bankrupt Medicare system. Paul Ryan in the House and Ron Wyden, Senator Ron Wyden. You got a Democrat and Republican. They propose some bipartisan legislation for a hybrid solution, keep Medicare, add private choice and competition. Is this another major issue the country worries about that will go unsolved?
Yeah, it was a major issue last year that didn't get tackled. I commend both Senator Wyden and Congressman Ryan for the proposal. That's the kind of bipartisan cooperation we need to actually get solutions. But it doesn't get to the end game. And you can't get a law signed without the President of the United States. And I have a feeling the President is not going to be very interested in tackling these tough issues in 12. We couldn't get him interested in tackling them in 11.
So it sounds like, finally, sir, just another logjam, standoff, and gridlock. That seems to be your forecast.
Well, that's his strategy, is to demonize Congress, to complain because, you know, he can't continue to get everything he wants like he did the first 2 years. It's all about his reelection and not about the country. Looking another way, it's more about his job than it is the jobs of the 8.5% of the American public that's unemployed. I think it's a big disappointment. I was disappointed in 11, and that's why I'm not optimistic that he's going to operate differently in 12.
All right, we'll leave it there. Senator Mitch McConnell, thank you ever so much for visiting.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, a sobering